Welcome to University of Utah Health uses digital signage platforms for patient education and general well-being. My name is Brent Eliason. I'm the Associate Director of Technology Innovation for University of Utah Health, and I'm grateful to be sharing this presentation with President of Carousel Digital Signage today, Eric Henry. Thank you for your interest in this topic. The technology achievements that will be covered in this presentation should be valuable to a broad audience. In this session, I will explain why we took on this endeavor, what it is that we did technically, architecturally how we did it, and we will outline a path so you can replicate any of these successes. Earlier this year, University of Utah went live with a new rehabilitation hospital. As part of this construction project, we took on an ambitious effort to accelerate equality in function, performance, and independence for the disabled community. A key component of this solution is Carousel Digital Signage. It's the healthcare providers, along with the facility, and of course donor support, the programs we have in place, as well as the technology I'll be talking about today that make this one of the most advanced rehabilitation facilities in the world. Sponsor and stakeholder support were critical for our success, and that would be my first recommendation for anybody willing to follow in our footsteps. There was early firm commitment to design for full room controls by individuals for any disability type or severity. The term control everything with anything exemplifies that goal, with the building and our ongoing goal to build or modify equipment to control any device our patients desire to control at a high, complex, nuanced level. So the goal of our digital signage solution is clear, inclusive communication throughout the entire facility, including the common areas and even extending into the patient rooms. By way of introduction, for those of you who may not be familiar, the University of Utah is the premier academic medical center in the Intermountain West. The Craig H. Nielsen Rehabilitation Hospital, which is part of our healthcare system, is committed to accelerating equality in function, performance, and independence for the disabled community. We harness the idealism, energy, and intellect of our university's faculty, staff, and even our students to design and share innovative assistive technologies and adaptive programs. The power of inclusion and enablement with a patient who has physical limitations is something that means more to them than most of us will ever experience. The stories we receive from patients keep us motivated to continue with this work. At the hospital, our digital signage solutions deliver cafeteria menus, a calendar of events of activities happening both inside and outside the facility, 4K motion artwork to promote well-being, and on-demand provider-delivered patient education content to better achieve the rehabilitation patient goals. Carousel Cloud is the perfect partner for us because they enable all of this while removing the technical headaches through a lightweight software-defined architecture. Before we get into the Carousel Digital Signage solution, I'd like to set the business context for a larger technology initiative landscape. Inspiration for the smart room for patients with complex disabilities came from the success of adaptive recreation human-machine interface innovation. With advances in sip and puff technology for sophisticated control, the first electrically steered alpine ski was created, the Tetraski. The smart rooms represent a technological leap for our facility, bringing together patient-assistive technologies onto a common iOS platform. The scope of the smart room project is listed here. Our smart room solution, including digital signage, includes advances in smart technologies not seen before. These advances are found in the form of leading partner solutions, novel integrations, use of existing technologies, as well as new ground-up software and hardware technology development. Now, the last thing we wanted to do when we built these clean new patient rooms was junk them up with a bunch of technology hanging off the walls. So the only automation technology that you're going to see in this room is the iPad on the patient's food tray there. We're quite proud of that. As you can see on the iPad here, we have the application. And our patient population, as I've described, has a special set of needs. So upon admission, each patient is issued this iPad. The iPads have an in-house developed application already installed. The application can be used as a traditional touchpad application, or it can be used using a number of different modalities depending on the accessibility needs of each patient. And if their accessibility needs change, their interaction modality can support their needs. The interface has a simple view and a complex view for their, depending on their cognitive ability. The patient can use the application using their voice and natural language or native Apple accessibility features. Natural language can even be used if the patient suffers from slurred speech due to severe brain injury. Using any combination of user interfaces, the patient can control their environment in what is often an extended stay with us. We allow patients and family to even use their own personal device to download the Bring Your Own Device version of this application to securely control the patient's room environment. They can stream movies to their 4K hospital-grade TV using Apple TV. They can play music through their room sound system using what I call enterprise Bluetooth. Heretofore an oxymoron, but we believe we've changed that paradigm. Have you ever wondered how immobilized patients request assistance from their healthcare team? Normally, they have to wait for what could be hours for someone to check on them. At this hospital, this patient population can simply use their voice, sip and puff, or whatever to request assistance. The care team receives not just the alert for assistance, but the actual details of the patient request. Okay, so how did we do this? This is our public-facing architectural document of what we've built. Let's walk through this together for a moment. So at the bottom left here, you'll see the hospital-owned iPad or the Bring Your Own Device that the patient or family member may have on them. And you see above that the Smart Room app, that a number of the modalities available. We built a middleware tier that is high availability through a load balancer you'll see there, and directly from that we control the elevators in the facility, as well as send the alerts to the care staff. You also see at the within the patient room box there is a BMS system, and all of this is code that the university licenses. And you see all of the various devices that can be controlled within the room. And you also see the Apple TV used for patient entertainment, the Bluetooth device, etc. We'll talk about the carousel solution. Eric will talk about the carousel solution here in a moment. Patient education system. This is where a healthcare provider can barge in on the digital signage and deliver patient education. And then the Jamf solution at the bottom. in the case of Bluetooth that I keep referring, each Bluetooth device is named with the name of the patient room. It requires a unique code to pair to it, and it auto reestablishes the connection when people re-enter the room. It also wipes the Bluetooth pairing automatically when the patient is transferred or discharged using the JNUC healthcare listener. So it's pretty neat. Okay, and this is what JNUC does for us. JNUC automates the digital hygiene. When a patient is discharged from the hospital or transfers rooms, the devices associated with the patient room are sanitized appropriate for each device automatically. The hospital-issued iPad is factory reset and provisioned with specific settings for the room it is associated with. And organizationally approved applications are installed on the iPad thereafter. The BYOD certificates are expired in addition to other security controls associated with the room. And the patient room Apple TVs are factory reset removing any patient account information that may be configured on them. They are then provisioned in like manner to the iPads. So again, we're pretty proud of this solution, and I've left some of the best for last here. Eric, with that, I turn the time over to you to go through the carousel portion.
Well, thank you, Brent. I appreciate that. A few words that kind of popped out as you were sharing with us. The word inclusion, I love that word. And I think about JNUC's past and all of while we talk so much about technology, it's really about people. And that's at the heart of even of Carousel and JAMP, I believe, as organizations. And so I love the story of the University of Utah because of the desire for inclusion. I thought the word compassion for those who have gone through disability, and all the innovation that happens at the University of Utah is really exciting to see. And so I just wanted to start with that before we jump into the JAMP and Carousel pieces of it, because ultimately, while we're at a technology conference, the reason we do all of these things is for the people within our organizations and the people that we serve, whether they're patients or anybody else. And so I just love kind of hearing what's going on at the University of Utah. There's so much innovation, but it's all for the purpose of serving people, and that's ultimately the goal. And so with that, I want to jump into the tools here. And so obviously, as Brent shared, they're leveraging JAMP and Carousel together along with Apple, and we believe that really is a winning combination. It allows them to achieve the zero-touch experience and all of the things that they want to do. And so we'll kind of touch on a few of those things here in the moments that we have together. And JAMP themselves, their mission, and you hear it all the time, is helping organizations succeed with Apple. And JAMP does a really good job of that. And so with that, let's talk a little bit about specifically what is JAMP doing. So JAMP is seamlessly integrating that smart room technology and all the applications to automate that zero-touch patient admission, discharge, also including room transfers, which happen. And as Brent was talking about, it enables all the bring your own device functionality for the patients and the staff. What's cool about it as well is when the patient's discharged, as he alluded to, the Epic system is triggering JAMP through the healthcare listener to actually reset that iPad, and then Apple TV breaks all of those Bluetooth connections, including for both the soundbar as well as the bring your own device pairings that happen in the room. And in addition to that, they're also leveraging JAMP for pushing the devices into single app mode. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few moments here, as well as doing all the endpoint patching and updates. And so JAMP is really being leveraged to manage these patient rooms and in the common areas as well. So we'll speak to that in just a moment. And for Carousel, really as an organization, just wanted to share our mission. And our mission is to help organizations communicate effectively in the places where people are. And at Utah Health, they're in patient rooms. They're also in common areas and cafeterias, as Brent mentioned. And we want to really give the university all the tools they need to communicate with people and really engage them in all the places around the university where people gather or are spending time working through healing and rehabilitation. All right, so let's take a little dive into how we're using JAMF and Carousel. And so again, within the patient room, what's happening is JAMF is distributing the Carousel app both to the Apple TVs and the iPads and keeping everything up to date. So that's a pretty standard thing. If you're at JNUC, you're probably pretty familiar with app distribution through JAMF. The other thing that's happening here is JAMF's locking all those Apple TVs into single app mode and running Carousel, and also enabling AirPlay connections. And so that through those configuration profiles, Brent and his team are deciding to enable AirPlay connections. And the reason they're doing that, as Brent was sharing, is now the healthcare providers, as they enter the patient room, can actually use AirPlay to interrupt the Carousel content that's playing on that Apple TV to play the on-demand patient education sessions. And so that's a really hands-on way of engaging the patient with the therapy sessions to begin the healing process. And when that AirPlay session ends, the digital signage simply resumes on that Apple TV. And that's a pretty powerful and just simple interaction for the patient in the room. As well, Carousel is also delivering all the targeted 4K videos, the images, other important information to all the Apple TVs and all the common areas. And as Brent mentioned, that's cafeterias, that's other common places. And we'll talk about that as well. We'll show a few images in the next few slides to give you an idea of that. But again, not just in the patient room experience, but all throughout the campus, one common set of tools that's providing all of that communication. And on top of that, if an urgent message needs to be displayed or is triggered through another system, Carousel actually utilizes JAMF. We actually do a configuration profile change that can disable AirPlay and put Carousel into single app mode across any targeted device. And so as the University of Utah continues to consider how they want to use their Carousel and JAMF deployment, the beautiful thing is over time, you can really target those urgent messages. And that could be by floor or just all the patient areas or simply all the common areas or just all the cafeteria screens. There's really a lot of opportunity for the university to leverage that tight JAMF and Carousel integration with Apple TVs and iPads to take control of them in whatever way makes sense to communicate with the community in a very, very targeted way. And so that's a pretty exciting feature that we're pretty proud of in our integration with JAMF. We believe that really gives organizations a lot of opportunity to communicate in a very quick way, whether it's triggered through a third-party system. Even Epic could actually trigger something or anything else. It's just a really great set of tools. And so I wanted to kind of spend a minute highlighting that little bit of a story. And so as we kind of look at sort of this kind of a benefit summary, what's really cool about what's happening at the University of Utah is they found 3 purposes for a set of devices. And so obviously we've got the engaged patient within the room with a tailored content from Carousel being delivered, pushed via JAMF to those Apple TVs. You've also got the patient education piece that we talked about. And so again, that secondary purpose, but really a powerful purpose in the patient education. And then thirdly, we have obviously patient entertainment, which is pretty important if you are spending any time within a hospital setting. Having the ability to interact with the content that you're used to and enjoying the entertainment that you like to enjoy is really also part of the overall patient experience and regaining your health. And obviously all the technical stuff along with that is all the app updates, using a common MDM tool, which the University of Utah really appreciates, just the consistency of the JAMF platform and just being able to manage all those devices without having to go different places. Obviously, common hardware device to support is really appealing from the university's perspective. And also 4K content. Apple is really good at playing 4K content on those Apple TVs. And so it's exciting for us as Carousel to be able to leverage the Apple ecosystem to deliver that quality of content. As Brent mentioned, even that 4K motion artwork and things is just all these visual things are actually really important part of the aesthetic and the experience, and leveraging that in 4K is really, really an important part of the overall vision, I believe, that the university has. Another thing, just from a technical perspective, is local content caching. If you're pushing 4K content around or delivering all of these things to endpoints, the Apple TV and Carousel, it's really important to cache that content. Just as you, basically what happens is Carousel knows that something is scheduled to play or is going to play on a particular schedule. There's no reason to re-download that content every time and create a bandwidth hit within the university's network. And so we're pretty excited about the way that we can leverage the Apple TV for all the local content caching, especially as video becomes increasingly used throughout facilities. And the last bullet point, but certainly not the least important one, is the business is able to maintain the content going forward after the IT deployment. So Brent and his team, they can decide how Jamf and Carousel are going to work together, where all these endpoints are placed, and then they can turn it over to the people that maintain the content. And so I really look at, as Jamf is to IT, empowering IT to really very quickly do lots and lots of things in a very simple way. This idea that there is no step 3 with Jamf. With Carousel, we're excited as well. Just as Jamf empowers IT, we believe that we can empower the business people that are producing the messages, whether you're the front desk admin or you're somebody within the cafeteria. We believe we've given a set of tools that are welcoming and engaging enough to actually create the content, not just consume the content. So we're pretty excited about that, and we believe that's a pretty strong benefit of the Carousel system at the university. All right, so just a couple quick slides here. I want to dive into really the story of Carousel digital signage, specifically at the university. And so here we are. The university needed a communication tool that was easy to use and maintain and could help reliably communicate important messages. And so that's kind of part of what Brent said their initiative was. And it also needed to serve as a viable patient education platform, which we've talked about quite a bit here already today. And so this is really where Carousel can step in. We believe that efficient communication can really have a positive effect on our spaces and our community as a whole. Carousel, Jamf, and Apple combine to deliver tremendous value in helping patients focus on recovery and education and live full and productive lives as active community participants. And this all starts with clear and accessible communication tools that reach patients where they are. And that really is what we believe we can do with this combined solution. And again, I love the word inclusion, because that's really what we're trying to do is make sure that patients can have an accessible set of tools that includes them in their own recovery process. The content, just to kind of give you a little bit more of a picture of what's actually happening in more of the common areas. We talked quite a bit about the patient room experience. There's also 60 digital signage displays across lobbies, hallways, gyms, and cafeterias. We're reaching the staff. We're also communicating with the patients and the visitors throughout the facilities. And really the importance here is that eye-catching visual communication, we believe, is the way to engage and inform people. And Utah Health is definitely taking advantage of it. If you've been in facilities in the past, you'll see a lot of times the content is not particularly fresh or particularly engaging, because signage as a platform in the past has been more about just putting something on the wall. What I love about what's happened at the University of Utah is they're very intentional about why they're placing displays where they are, what content goes on the displays. You'll even see in these images, for example, outside the cafeteria, the design of the channel is very appealing aesthetically. It fits within the space and it communicates relevant information. And that's really what's important. It needs to be thought of as part of the overall space. Just like Brent and his team have spent so much time thinking about that patient room, that overall experience that they have going on there with all the technology, the content is equally important on the wall as you're placing displays. And so I love what they've done overall with thinking through the patient room experience all the way through the common area experience, all the content. It's very cohesive and well thought out and very purpose built. And I love that about what they were able to do there. And the patients are also able to absorb the information, again, getting back to that patient room experience, because it's such a great story. And so I know we keep coming back to that one, but I love this seamless integration between Carousel, Jamf, and the Apple TV, so that those healthcare providers can just use that AirPlay to go ahead and play those patient education sessions. And that's just a great story. And I think it's a very welcoming and engaging experience. And they're really able to absorb that information in a new way. And that's a really appealing thing. So we're getting to this point where, again, as I started our session, I was really reflecting on the idea of inclusion and how people are the most important part of what we do and why we do it. And I love this testimonial here. This technology clearly has the potential to operate as another member of the rehabilitation team, several in fact. The technology will certainly assist physicians, nurses, therapists, families, and caregivers move more quickly, efficiently, and completely towards rehabilitation goals. That's really what it's all about. As much as we love all this technology, I'm a technical tweaker guy. I get super excited about the innovation within technology, but at the end of the day, the best part of the story is that the University of Utah Health is using this technology to make people feel welcomed, to make them feel informed, and ultimately to lead towards completely towards their rehabilitation goals. And that's what really gets me excited about this story. And I'm thankful that Carousel gets to be part of it, quite frankly. It's a thing that we've been very excited about and look forward to the opportunity to keep working with the university as they continue to imagine new ways of engaging their patients and their visitors and even the staff. And with that, I'd like to conclude our session. I look forward to all the question and answers. If you are interested in discussing more of these technologies, or you have questions for Brent or I, both of our contact information is here on the screen. We look forward to dialoguing with you about ideas that you might have for leveraging any of these technologies, even including the ones that I didn't focus on that Brent has intimate knowledge of. I'm sure he'd love to share with other healthcare facilities kind of the vision that they had, how they arrived at it. We'd love to really continue to advance all this patient experience across the country. And so if you'd like to talk with us, we'd love to engage you. I'm speaking for Brent, I realize that, but I know he has a passion for this as well. And so I look forward to connecting with you, and I hope that you guys really have a great rest of your conference, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.